it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man. You need an interpreter? It's time to go to school.
You will lose.
Welcome back, it's Rich, and in this episode, Rich reviews Rocky IV. Let's do it. Welcome back to Rich Reviews, no-nonsense movie chat from the UK. If you like what you see today, don't forget to check out my other videos. And please feel free to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. So 1986's Rocky IV, possibly my favourite film of all time, and receiving a new director's cut in 2021, which added around 38 minutes of new footage while trimming some of the original fat away. This now gives two genuinely different options of how to watch this movie, with both releases being equally great in different ways, yet still carrying essentially the exact same story. We have the original classic, nostalgic and very 80s version, or the newer, more gritty and darker version, proving a slightly more serious tone to the film. But either way, it's Rocky Balboa and the mighty Ivan Drago slugging it out in the ring in a battle of wills to the end. Some see this as a glorified 2-hour training montage, some see it as a massive pop video, but for me, it's pure excitement from start to finish, and with the Russian foe being a truly formidable opponent and one of the finest ever on-screen anti-heroes. The Rocky films, not just Rocky IV, but all of them, are not really about boxing as such. The core of the film is much more the love story between Rocky and Adrian, along with the thread of a classic underdog tale, a deadbeat no hope offered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a shot at the title. From Rocky I to the 6th part, Rocky Balboa, we see our main character grow in life through sheer determination and the will to keep moving forward no matter what life throws at you. This same train of thought also extends into the Creed spin-offs and sums up his character as a whole. I've introduced the Rocky saga to several people over the years who've had zero interest in boxing, not Stallone fans, but many have commented since just how good this set of films are, and it's really turned their head around on Stallone as an actor. People agree that it is not just a boxing story, but indeed a love story with a great character arc of determination in life. In short, it was a case then of, I take everything back I said about Stallone in these films, there really are great stories. The story follows immediately after Rocky III and finds our Italian stallion living the life of luxury and wealth after defeating Clubber Lang, played by Mr. T, and continuing his close friendship with his former opponent Apollo Creed. We have his wife Adrian, played by Talia Shire, and her grumpy brother Paulie, played by the late great actor Burt Young, who sadly passed away recently in 2023. All are living together with their growing son, and life's great, until the news of the Soviets entering the boxing arena and looking for an exhibition match in the US taunts Creed to accept the match, and all antics ensue from there. After Apollo puts on the show of his life, he unfortunately is nowhere near the same strength or in the same league as that of the mighty Ivan Drago, and finds himself being pulverized in a brutal match that costs him his life. Cue Rocky and his determination to avenge his friend and fight the Russian on Christmas Day in Russia for no money and what would appear to be an invincible opponent. It's East versus West in what promised to be a defining moment in boxing history. So let's first talk about what worked. For fans of the Rocky films, and depending on your age, which would define your nostalgic decade of movies you prefer, this one for me lands absolutely perfectly. I'm a 70s born kid, so anything late 80s is hitting me perfectly. It's a great mix of the family, the love between Adrian and Rocky, the shock of Creed's death, and the many extended training montages, with great fight scenes and a stellar soundtrack. It's far from realistic, but regardless, solid fans just let this blow over as they cheer for our Italian slugger at every moment in the film, and for Creed too. Apollo Creed is one of the greatest on-screen heroes, I think. His character arc is great, from how he was in the early Rocky films to how he becomes lifelong friends with Rocky, yet still always retaining that I'm way better than you attitude and fighter spirit that he loves to put on this show for a crowd. The battle between Creed and Drago served as a gut-wrenching and brutal end to his career, as he takes blow after blow while nodding that final kind of love you gesture to his wife watching in horror in the crowd. I've always felt that the show and confidence he puts on in this film is because deep down, I think he knew he wasn't going to win this fight. Before the fight, we have Rocky very concerned and wanting him to postpone, and Apollo talking about them both being warriors, and without the fight, without the battle in life, then the warrior may as well be dead. And he finishes with the classic line, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about now, but believe me, you will when it's over. During the fight too, he knew he was losing. His nod to his wife shows this, yet he won't let Rocky throw the towel down, uttering the words, you don't stop this fight no matter what. And then he repeats the no matter what again, suggesting, even if I die. He wanted to go out this way, and it's heartbreaking to watch, particularly on the 2021 director's cut, as he takes much more of a beat in that version and looks really kind of confused and struggles tremendously. Carl Weathers plays Apollo perfectly, and every previous film his character in, everybody warms to this. The film spends a significant amount of time focusing on the training of Rocky and Drago, who are obviously the next ones to fight. We have some great shots and moments with Rocky using old-fashioned natural methods in the cold of Russia, and Drago using steroids and more futuristic methods, at the time, of different equipment and facilities. Both fighters are absolutely ripped in this film, with Stallone especially having six-packs on top of six-packs and side-packs even on his ribs. I'm not jealous at all. Maybe a little bit. It must have taken an insane amount of work to look like this, and absolute credit to him for this effort. We also have the awesome No Easy Way Out music video scene, which depicts all of Rocky's past moments in films leading to this as he ponders what's ahead of him on a late night drive out. It really does illustrate just how much time we've spent already with this man and grown with him, and how the characters have changed. Certainly if you watch these films as they came out each respective year. It works so well as it reinforces what he's achieved in life and what he has now, which gives a greater risk if things do not work out in this final battle. Then we have the final battle itself, beautifully choreographed, and a real emphasis on Rocky using his inhuman will to keep moving forward despite the ridiculous odds against him, only for the he's cut moment, which starts to change the fight as Drago bleeds badly from his eye. It's a proper cheer moment for Rocky and sends tingles down people's arms as you have that tiny little bit of hope then that he actually hurt Drago, and you want him to keep going, just hit him once more, despite it still being unlikely he'll win. But push on he does, and the fight pace, the scenes, the shots, the energy levels never let up. We get some super brutal slow motion effects that look ridiculously real, such as the jaw break and the blow that blasts his gum shield out of his mouth, both which I think were real accidents, which I'll talk about later on. For me, so much works, not just the fighting, but the acting, from Adrian and Paulie to Apollo and his trainer Duke, to the Russian himself with his robotic, almost Terminator-style approach. Drago has literally just a few lines in the whole film, a little more in the 2021 version, but otherwise, he's just a machine following orders. I also have to give special mentions to the soundtrack again too. It's an amazing collection of music, largely written by Vince DiCola, and gives a perfect pumping 80s vibe, one that many people will have owned on a tape cassette over the years, with Eye of Your Tiger, Hearts on Fire, and No Easy Way Out being great tunes driving around in your car. Also to mention too is the colour in this film, and it's something I can't quite put my finger on, but in particular the fight scenes seem to have a great saturated look to them, with the red and white shorts of Rocky contrasting with Drago's red and yellow. It looks beautiful throughout, and there's something about this that I always notice. So was it all perfect, or were there elements that fall flat and hard on the canvas? Well, to be honest, I had to think really hard about this. As I said at the start, this is possibly my favourite film of all time. So where do you go trying to find out things that don't really work? Well, maybe, and this applies to all Rocky films, we have to say the realism of the actual fighting. It's a million miles away from reality, where one good punch nearly always ends a match. In this, they have perfectly square, clean blows to the centre of the face over and over again, and they're just shrugged off like some video game character. Couple this with the over-exaggerated sound effect of each blow too. Does it mean it's bad? Well, no, it makes for a super pumped, exciting visual treat. It sounds great, and it works with this kind of fantasy pop video style look of the film. Rocky Balboa seems to correct this somewhat with a muted sound and really kind of tone it down. It's much more realistic, but still, we kind of expect this walking into these films anyway, so you've got to really let it pass. If we had a normal boxing match on display here, it'd make for a very dull film on lots of hugging. It's got to be exaggerated, as many things are in many action films. One other point, and it's a bit of a strange one, is the 2021 director's cut sees an impressive 38 minutes extra footage and about the same also taken out from the original. So this really changes many things in the film while keeping it still essentially the same. It's also quite different then, and it's actually a better version. But as a fan, you really notice the changes. So while you're watching, you can't help but look for them and look for the next one. And then as they happen, you start kind of noticing it and commenting on it in your mind that, oh, that's new and that's new. And you do that every time you see it. So in this case, I actually find it quite difficult to relax into the new cut and tend to drift back to watching the classic cinema version. Think of a new Star Wars film with 30 minutes extra and 30 minutes removed. I'm not talking about the little Lucas special editions. You know, a solid change like that. Add half an hour, take half an hour away. And if the end result is still a great film, but no matter how good it might be, it makes then for that awkward viewing. So many of you will have already seen this film, but there are things that you might not know about it. So here's 5 facts about Rocky IV. The punching scenes filmed between him and Dolph Lundgren in the first part of the fight are completely authentic. Stallone wanted to capture realism and stated not to hold their punches back. One particular punch to Stallone's chest slammed his heart against his breastbone, causing the heart to swell. He suffered from laboured breathing and blood pressure over 200 and was flown to hospital and spent 8 days in intensive care. A special teaser trailer featuring Ivan Drago was played in theatres prior to Rocky IV's release. In it, Drago's seen against the Soviet flag, telling viewers his name that he'll be soon fighting and defeating Rocky Balboa. He also states, soon the whole world will know my name. And I remember as a kid thinking, who is this guy? But true to his word, everybody does know his name now. During the shooting of Rocky IV, Lundgren was famously dating singer, model and actress Grace Jones. This helped Lundgren land his first acting role, a brief appearance as a henchman in the James Bond movie A View to a Kill, in which Grace Jones played one of the villains. 2018's Creed 2 continued the story of Creed, but also served as a kind of direct sequel to Rocky IV. The film sees Adonis Creed go up against Ivan Drago's son, Victor Drago, with Creed seeking some kind of revenge for the death of his father at Victor's father's hands. Stallone, Lundgren and Brigitte Nielsen also reprised their roles. In Rocky IV, Dolph Lundgren speaks a total of just 46 words in the whole film. Most of those were in Russian too. Dolph felt that being quieter would make him more threatening and makes the audience really listen. The lines "I must break you" and "if he dies" are among the Rocky franchise's most memorable lines of dialogue. So my final thoughts, this is an easy 5 out of 5. It's a perfect example of an 80s nostalgic classic, but has now become part of a wider franchise, which started in the 70s and has moved right on into 2023 with Creed 3. All connected and all showing the lifespan of this remarkable character and actor. There's very few, if any, movies that I can think of that follows a person's character and career such as this. Stallone, choose what you think of him. He is a clever man, with the majority of these being written, directed and acted by him too. So if you want to go and watch Rocky IV, should you take a mate, a date, or stay up late and watch it on streaming? Well, it's out of the cinemas, so it's streaming only for this one, unfortunately. So I'd stay up late, watch this one at home, maybe with a mate, maybe with a date. It's up to you, but it's a great film and you'll enjoy it. But watch the others around it too. It has to be done in that way. So what do you think of Rocky IV? What are your favourite Rocky films? Leave a comment below. And until next time, keep smiling, peeps.